Are you a landlord or a tenant in Nigeria? Then this video is for you. Today I'll be breaking down the right you have as a landlord and the right you have as a tenant in Nigeria. What is legal? What does the law say? How does the law protect the landlord and the tenant? Or who can do what? Please like, subscribe, share, comment on this video. Let's proceed. Who is a landlord and who is a tenant? A landlord is someone who owns a property or is legally entitled to rent out a property for a fee, which is rent. A tenant is someone who pays rent to the landlord or through the agent, who enjoys exclusive possession of a property or premises for a duration of time. Please note that once rent is paid, a legal relationship has been established between the landlord and the tenant, whether or not there is a written tenancy agreement. So I'll be starting with the right you have as a tenant in Nigeria. Number one right you have is right to receipt of rent. Once you pay your rent, it is the duty, your landlord hold you the duty of giving you a receipt for the rent you've paid for. So as a tenant, you have the right to receipt of rent. Second right you have is right to exclusive possession or peaceful enjoyment. What this means is that once you've paid your rent, you have the right to enjoy that property or premises or apartment or session exclusively for that duration of time which you've paid rent for. And you can enjoy that property without interference or disturbance from your landlord. Your landlord does not have right to come into the property at any time he or she feel or wishes to be, except there is an emergency. If your landlord wants to inspect the property, it is expected of him or her to notify you that I'll be coming so date to inspect the property. Your landlord does not have right to barge into your apartment, to barge into your premises, to harass you while you've paid your rent. The third right you have as a tenant is right to proper notice. You see, your landlord cannot just wake up one day and say, oh, I have verdict today and you are the cause of my misfortune, so you have to leave this house today. It is not possible. It is not done under the law. What the law says is, as a landlord, it is his duty to give his tenants a proper notice to quit, and it is depending on the tenancy agreement between them. If it's a yearly tenant, a monthly tenant, a weekly tenant. For a yearly tenant, the landlord is expected to give a 6 months notice to quit. For a monthly tenant, the landlord is expected to give a 1 month notice to quit, and for a weekly tenant, the landlord is expected to give a week notice to quit. Then as a tenant, the fourth right you have is right to forceful eviction. What this means is that your landlord does not have the right to forcefully evict you from his apartment or his premises. Your landlord does not have right to lock you out, to change your lock, to disconnect your electricity or water, to remove your roof, to harass you, to bring thugs or boys to beat you up in order for you to leave the apartment or the premises. The right of the landlord in Nigeria. Firstly, the landlord has the right to receive rent. It is the right of the landlord to receive rent for the apartment that he or she has given out for a fee, as at when due and when agreed by both parties. Then failure to receive rent from the tenants gives the landlord the right to begin eviction proceedings in court. Secondly, the landlord has rights to recover property through courts. Thirdly, the landlord has right to inspect the property or premises. It is the right of the landlord to inspect the property or premises, but at a reasonable time and with a prior notice. The fourth right, which is the last that I will be discussing with you today, of a landlord is right to serve notice. The landlord has the right to serve notice to his or her tenant. For a yearly tenant, the landlord has the right to serve 6 months notice to quit to the tenant. At the expiration of the 6 months, the landlord has the right to serve the tenant 7 days notice of intention to recover possession. So if at the expiration of that 7 days, the tenant still refuses to leave the apartment or premises, then the landlord can approach the court to issue writ of possession and eviction order. Landlord, you should not and you cannot lock your tenant out. You cannot change the lock while your tenant is still there. You cannot send thugs to harass or send your tenants away. You cannot disconnect the electricity or water of your tenant. The common illegal acts by landlords are self-help eviction, forceful eviction, harassment or threats, cutting off essential services, refusing to pay balance of rent without cause. Illegal acts by landlords are self-help eviction, cutting off essential services, refusing to pay balance of rent without cause, threats, harassment, and forceful eviction. Common illegal mistakes of tenants are refusing to pay rent, subletting the apartment or the property without permission or consent of the landlord, damaging of the property. So what to do if your rights are violated? For harassment and forceful eviction, you can report to the police. You can file a case at the magistrate or high courts. And if you're in Lagos State, you can write to Lasrera. Until next time, know your rights, stay protected, and do what is legal. See you in my next video. Please, if you find this video helpful, like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video. See you next time. Bye.